Five, four, three, two, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
What is going on, folks? Welcome all to another edition of the Two Growls, One Roar podcast on a wonderful Thursday night in November. Another live episode this week, folks. 2 live episodes in 1 week. What is going on? Well, a little more time on my hands, at least for today. Actually behind schedule when it comes to putting out content for you guys. So I decided, you know what? I'm at least going to save myself 30 minutes of time of having to download this, go through all that, to put this on YouTube, do the things that I don't want to do. We're just going to do it live. So we're going to do the live preview of the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. If you have not tuned in to any of our previews that we've done before, it's the same thing, folks. Every single week we go through all the storylines, look at injury updates, we talk about the game insights, NFL Pro Stats, team rankings, all those things for your team, and get you guys prepared like we always do. So appreciate you guys that are here. If you are here and you are watching, or if you're watching this after the fact on Spotify, remember you can watch the podcast on Spotify. It's available there. You can listen on Apple Podcasts. I'm excited to see what our podcast numbers look like on Spotify this year for video podcasts. We were like top 10 or top 15% of all video podcasts last year. Hopefully that number increases. But anyways, if you're here, please go out to YouTube. You're going to be a part of the show. I will say, happy to go through comments, but we are going to try to stick to a schedule to make sure I get this out on time, because I still have to put it on all the platforms. Before we get too far into it, I do want to take a second to say thank you again, as always, to everyone that tunes into the show. We are independent, one solo person running this thing, which is me. Started out from nothing. Folks, it's been a fun time. It's been a fun ride. Hopefully it will continue, and you guys will get to see some of the benefits of that as I continue to just bust my butt doing this. So, fun fact, we charted, and maybe if you follow TikTok, if you're on YouTube, we charted in Ireland this week, which is fine. Like, we charted internationally before. We've only charted one time in the United States in Apple, but that alone, big for me. But we were up to number 15 in the Apple podcast charts for football podcasts. You have to think about football internationally too. When you talk about Ireland and across the pond, we're competing with traditional football, soccer over there. Folks, the podcast, it was only 4 spots in front of me, was the Pat McAfee show. So I appreciate you guys internationally that tune into this show. Very much appreciate that. So we were number 15 in football, and then we were in the top 200-ish for all of the sports podcasts in Ireland. And shout out to the fine folks in Canada, right up across the border. We were able to chart there for Apple as well. And I know you guys may say, who cares? Well, it is a validation point for me to continue to do this, because I don't pour any marketing dollars into this. I am solo dolo, like you guys know, but it just is a reminder for me and for you, if you are ever interested in doing something like this, that if you put in the work and the time and the effort, things will get there. But we're not going to talk about that too much longer. We're going to have some fun as we start getting into the preview. So we will go through this, and we will admit that last week, my gosh, I openly admitted it. I did not give us any chance against the Green Bay Packers at all. Egg in the face, slap in the face, whatever you want to call it. I will admit, as I did in the post game and as I've done after, that was terrible on my part. But now to the flip side of it, you look at this week and you could do the opposite of that, to where you almost cakewalk this thing home for the Carolina Panthers in the opposite direction, saying that this game is a game that we know they should win. They're favored for the first time. Yes, favored for the first time, which makes no sense how they were not favored against the Jets. But when moved past that, favored. An opportunity. You're talking about a very bad football team in the Saints, but a competitive one that is fighting hard. And the thing that I will say is Carolina Panthers don't seem to be, at least the way they voiced it, similar to how they came into this week a few weeks ago against the New Orleans Saints. That is the type of mentality that we are getting from these guys at the moment. So at least they seem focused. I'm not too worried. Again, a lot of people want to say trap game. You have a trap game when you are looking ahead. And I mean, I said this when we played the Jets. I don't think this team is looking ahead by any stretch. Now, we as fans look ahead because we think about 6-4, then we think about an opportunity against the Atlanta Falcons to get to 7-4. Man, we start talking about that. Talking about Monday Night Football, you talk about the Rams. Man, it'll get some folks excited around here. But we're gonna take it one game at a time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in to what we normally do in our previews here. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. A few folks already in the chat, which I appreciate. You guys can join the chat if you wish. Just know that it's going to be a little bit different tonight as we bounce through this and make sure we get through all the content. So here we go. Doing like we always do, but this is the live edition of the preview. We like to talk about the staff. This is a staff in the Carolina Panthers that's finding some good stuff, man. I'm looking on my side at something else, but starting off with Dave Canales, who we've spent all year talking about, all off season. I am still impressed. I was one of the folks when everyone was down, and I'm not going to say everyone, a big portion of the fan base was ready to fire him after the poor start to this season. Things have panned out pretty well, and it looks like he knows what he's doing, leaning into the play calling a little bit more with Brad Idzik. I do think Idzik, like some people write him off. We know he's not technically calling plays. That still flows through Canales, but there's no doubt that he knows the offense, that he's giving input into the decision-making and the game plan that goes with it. And we only call out the coordinators. We don't go, deep into the weeds with the Harold Goodwins, but we know about Gilbert and the offensive line and the run game and everything that's happened. That's been a core strength of the Panthers. We like to tip our hat to Ejiro Evero as well, as we have been doing all season outside of Buffalo. That one was just bad, which we talked about it. I mean, it was just a really good game plan by the Buffalo Bills. But all things considered, Ejiro Evero has got this defense rolling. And I like to give some flowers to Tracy Smith, special teams coordinator, because I have been very hard on him on multiple occasions. But, man, I'm kind of coming around to him. I'm starting to feed into it. He is very smart. He is a reason why the Panthers had a chance to beat the Packers last week, and appreciate his knowledge of the game, his expertise in game planning and thinking about wind direction, setting the team up for success. So we'll take that all day long. That is your Carolina Panthers coaching staff. Of course, New Orleans Saints, new staff there, led by head coach Kellen Moore, trying to find his footing, trying to get there, man. I hope they don't get there for the sake of the fact that this is an NFC South team that we just don't like them. I don't care who the head coach is. Sorry to the Saints fans. This is not against y'all. We don't like the Saints. We don't like the Falcons. We don't like the Bucks. And interchange anyone at any time. Offensive coordinator Doug Nussmeier, defensive coordinator Brandon Staley, and then your special teams coordinator Phil Galliano rounds out your Saints staff. Now let's take a look and few behind the scenes things, but not really behind the scenes. We will talk about the New Orleans Saints game last week, getting run out of the building against the Los Angeles Rams in Week 9, as well as the Carolina Panthers win. Panthers fans, we already know, but we'll quickly go back over it. But you have the 1-8 New Orleans Saints, the 5-4 Carolina Panthers. Your head referee is Brad Allen, 1 o'clock kickoff, Bank of America Stadium. All-time series here, New Orleans Saints leads 31-29, and they have won 3 of the last 4. Hopefully doesn't happen again. They are 1-0 against Carolina in the postseason. Last time these teams met was back in or almost a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, November 3rd. That was a nice game from Bryce Young. Panthers pulled that one out 23-22. They got the only time that they faced off in the playoffs back in 2018, where New Orleans won 31-26. Kellen Moore this is his first season as a head coach, is 1-8. Trying to figure things out there. I think we've all been a part of that. We've seen it from afar with the bumpy rides we've had here in Carolina. Dave Canales' regular season record, because we have not made the playoffs, is 10-16. He's slowly getting there. You look at him right now, being able to match the win total from last year with a legitimate opportunity. And you look at, don't have a sports book in front of me, but looking through where the Panthers are projected to finish right now, in that 8 to 9 win range is very doable. And that's primarily taking care of business against the Saints. That gets you to 7. Maybe you take care of the Falcons. That would be 8. And then you got to find one, which Tampa Bay, you could squeak one out there. I don't say squeak, but you could still one. You could still 1 or 2 within the NFC West, which that's going to, 2 of those coming in here. So I think it is a real chance. Now, don't want to say that the Panthers are going to stumble this week, but if the Panthers do not they fail to take care of business this week, and they are 5-5, I do not like their chances down the stretch. It's still possible if you are, and I've been saying this all week, if you are a fan of the Carolina Panthers, which, I'd say probably a good portion of you folks that are tuned in here are, unless we have some Saints fans that are pulled in. If you are a fan of the Carolina Panthers, you have to be starting to pull for some madness. Like, we're halfway through the season. You got to start hoping some teams stumble along the way. One of them being the Bears, Chicago Bears, who sit right in front of the Panthers right now in the NFC. And that NFC West, 3 teams with 6 wins, very loaded. That division, you need, of course, like, they're going to play each other. So naturally, hopefully, things will fall apart there, at least for 1 or 2 of those teams. And then the Panthers have a chance. Again, it's right in front of them. They can own the head-to-head. These games, as we finish out the season, focusing on the NFC, it's important. Important to win your games. Number 1, of course, in the NFC South. But I like to caution people, and I've been saying it this week, 10 wins is not a guarantee to get into the playoffs. You look at the Seattle Seahawks missing the playoffs at 10-7 last year. That's why it's very important, if at all possible, for you to be able to win your division, to be able to get in and not have to leave it up to chance or some weird tiebreaker or head-to-head or whatever that goes into it. You want to be in control of your destiny. So let's keep it rolling here. And taking a look, as we always do, quick update on, now we split it up a little bit this week. We usually bounce around here and just take a look at the draft picks, but I actually don't know why this came out the way that it did. So I will adjust that on my side 1 second. It's one of the fun parts of being a solo show. I don't know what we got going on there, but we will hop back on my side while I fix this live as we're doing this, or at least try to fix it live, and talk about the rookie class for the Carolina Panthers. Number 1, which I had to change because this week I decided to change the format, and clearly when I was editing, I did not edit it the right way, but that's okay. We can still make do with what we have. Tedro McMillan, every bit of the part as a number 1 wide receiver for the Panthers. Look at his production right now, 41 receptions, 558 yards, on pace to break the Panthers' rookie receiving mark. A lot of folks coming into the season, I think if you were trying to measure success, that was one of the numbers. Like, can he get to that point? We know the passing attack hasn't been fantastic, meaning that we're lighting it up, but I think the Carolina Panthers are staying within the game plan that they have to do, which is leaning in heavily to the run game to get it done. But Tedro McMillan absolutely living up to the part. You look at Jimmy Horn Jr. on the offensive side of the ball. I like that the Panthers, and shout out to everyone, I like to say this as always, for the folks that believed in Jimmy Horn Jr. before this coaching staff did, because there's a lot of you on the outside that said, why is Jimmy Horn not getting in? Why are we not seeing Jimmy Horn in this offense? The speed, the jet sweeps, the motions, there's a lot of ways that you can use him, and I'm glad the Carolina Panthers are choosing to do that. He is sitting with 6 receptions for 66 yards on the season. I think they're going to continue to work him through. Mitchell Evans, tight end, 9 receptions, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns on the season. And then Trevor Etienne getting involved with not a lot in the passing game, but 2 for 9 yards. And then as a runner, which, his role's gotten diminished as we've leaned into Rico Dowdle, but he's been good in parts. 19 carries for 92 yards on the season. And the biggest question everyone has is, like, what is this room going to look like next year? It feels like the Panthers are not going to be able to pay Rico. I mean, it's one of those things, though, where you see a good football player in front of you and he fits the scheme and he's playing well. It's always worth a conversation. I don't know what his number is going to be. I'm sure he's going to go out and get his payday, but we're focused on, at least right now, rookies. But next year, what does it look like? That's going to be a big question that we have as we take a look with Jonathan Brooks rehabbing and getting himself back into the mix. So offensively, really good production, in my opinion, from the guys that we've seen so far. Of course, on the defensive side of the ball, Princely Umanmielen working his way back at practice now. Positive news there. Really like what we're seeing out of Nick Scorton. Let's look at his production, actually, since I've already got it pulled up here. Sitting with, if we can get this right, 21 tackles on the season, 2 sacks. Going back to Princely with 9 tackles, 1.5 sacks. And then if we can get into Lathan Ransom's production coming along as well, 27 total tackles on the season, 1 tackle for loss. And not in the draft class, but of course a notable rookie that continues to produce at a high level, none other than our fantastic kicker, Ryan Fitzgerald. It's really good to see that out of the class for the Carolina Panthers. Now looking ahead, New Orleans Saints, rookie quarterback Tyler Shuck. It is Shuck. Even though it looks like Shaw, it's the pronunciation of it. I think they're just playing games with us, but whatever, we'll roll with it. Tyler Shuck in as QB1. So sorry to all my Gamecock fans, the Spencer Rattler fans. Doesn't look like, at least for now, his future in the NFL is going to pan out as a starter in New Orleans. Being a backup quarterback's not bad, but at least his ride as a starter seems in New Orleans, unless an injury pops up, seems to be over. We'll get to see him in action. A lot of the other production from the Saints rookie class, there's not a lot on, at least offensively, when you look at a few of the guys that they drafted this past year, some late round talent, Devin Neal, Maliki Matavoa, maybe you say that right, hopefully. Defensively, though, how about Jonas Sanker? I know a lot of Panthers fans looked at him, the safety, having a really good year, 46 total tackles on the season. Danny Stutzman, the linebacker, and then Quincy Riley, a cornerback, also getting into the mix. Let's fast forward ahead. I mean, Panthers fans, maybe we could relive this every single day. No Chapel Bill hoodie on tonight. It's just the old plain old. Kind of close though. It does look like it. Oh man, fun times. All right, let me get back on this. Now we'll catch up with you guys or folks that are tuned in. Here we go. All right, talk about last week. I mean, everyone here, if you're a Panthers fan, knows about the Carolina Panthers going up to Green Bay, the walk-off winner, 49-yard field goal. Really nice win for the Carolina Panthers. And it's a win that puts us in, and I'll shout out to Mac and Bone, Chris McLean. It's a bit that's running now, like one of the it's not an ad, but it's a promotional clip that runs through in between their live segments, and I think he referenced this game, stating that he now has belief that the Carolina Panthers, you look ahead to the like we talked about, the NFC West, the Carolina Panthers have a good chance against any of those teams. You don't really fear any of them moving forward, and I fully agree with that. So good to see what we saw. Rico Dowdle with a good game. We know we were kind of worried maybe a little bit yesterday. He was working off to the side, but he's back in action. We do have Chuba Hubbard if needed. It's the bummer about the Panthers having such a late bye this year, but I think that they're going to continue to feed Rico. It's unreal. It really is, to see what he's been able to do. Shout out to Trayvon Merrick. How about his recognition this week? Nice contributions from T-Mac, and the Panthers just figuring out a way to get the job done. Now, looking over at the New Orleans Saints, got blown out against the Los Angeles Rams. It was the debut of rookie quarterback Tyler Shuck. Like I said, as the starter, he was 15-24, 176 yards. Threw his first career touchdown pass to Juwan Johnson, had one interception. This was what was crazy. The time of possession, Saints only had the ball for 16 minutes compared to 43 minutes with the Rams. Matt Stafford dominated. Saw a few errors with some turnovers on the side of New Orleans. So anyways, looking ahead, let's take a look back now at the last 5 games. Like to look back on the schedule. How did we get here? What's going on? New Orleans Saints, lone win of the season, came against the Giants. They were actually competitive, and that's the thing. Like, they were competitive against New England, kind of close against Chicago, and there against Tampa, it wasn't a blowout. It was closer there for a minute, but of course Tampa pulled away, and then the blowout to the Rams. Look at that. That's beautiful. All the green W's on the screen for those that are watching. Carolina Panthers have won 4 of the last 5. Really figuring it out. Started back with Miami, Dallas, the Jets. Blowout loss to Buffalo. I like the response to Green Bay with an ugly win, at least to some, although Brad Idzik's dad caught a beautiful football. It's true, man. I'll take that all day. So your headlines coming into this week. Looking ahead, Carolina Panthers, we talked about it in the beginning, aiming to get to 6-4, remained silent at the trade deadline. And for the New Orleans Saints, it's really this movement of youth and just trying to figure it out. We know about them trading away Rashid Shaheed and Trevor Penning. So just that team itself and the Saints really trying to just clear house, start over. We've seen it before. We've seen the Panthers get rid of talent. I'm not going to say this is going to be an easy game, and I don't think the Carolina Panthers should take it. I'm glad it's in Carolina this week. I don't think I'd be worried if it was in New Orleans, but I like it being here in Carolina. So we got that focal point. Of course, the biggest out of that is the Panthers just trying to get to 6-4. Would be nice. The run game. I mean, we can talk about this every week. Rico Dowdle being able to continue with what he has done, which has honestly been unreal to watch. So keeping that path forward. Now, you wonder with how banged up, and I'll use banged up because I know he's back, but how banged up he could potentially be. And if you look at this game, maybe you do feature Chuba Hubbard a little bit more, not by, wanting to sit Rico, but just to hopefully give Rico a little bit of rest. We'll see. We know Rico will want to be out there working hard. We talked about the New Orleans Saints going through, signaling really this roster rebuild. And honestly, when you are a 1-8 football team, you have a brand new head coach, you just try to get as many assets as you can to just start building for the future. Season itself, like pretty much all but over, although, technically not eliminated from the playoffs right now. Looking for a nice battle between Bryce Young and Tyler Shuck, though. I'm not saying that Bryce is going to dominate this game, but I think we have a pretty good matchup there between the two quarterbacks. I hope that our defense, Ejiro Evero, can do enough against the rookie, disrupt him a little bit, get pressure, make him make a few mistakes. I don't want this game to be close. That's what I'll say. I don't want this to be a close game. It's a game where I would feel very happy if the Carolina Panthers go up a touchdown or 10 points, even 2 touchdowns by the second quarter, and can hopefully get into cruise control, get out of there, remain healthy, and turn our attention to the Atlanta Falcons. But can't control whatever happens. Just can't. But that's what I would love to see. And Carolina Panthers, like we talked through initially, but I do think there's some juice to be had potentially this week with Chuba Hubbard. And you now turn back, and I mean, feels like David Newton of ESPN, that's all his storyline was going to be this week was, well, Dave Canales and Bryce Young, how do you feel about your poor stat line, but the team continuing to win? Like, dude, it's an NFL football team. They just want to win. They're just not too interested in stat lines and impressing you at the moment. So anyways, I think you have a lot bigger things to worry about at ESPN at the moment, if we're being honest. Let's jump ahead right now. Taking a look at, pretty easy to do this week, only one division to look at in the NFC South. Tampa Bay sitting at 6-2. And you know what? I am going to pause as we go through this because I did this earlier in the week. And when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, there's an opening here for the Panthers. And I want to go back and make sure my opening. Yes, there is an opening for the Carolina Panthers, folks. So you look at where things sit today. Tampa Bay 6-2, Carolina Panthers 5-4. So technically, what is math wise? Is it 1.5? It's 9 games versus they played 8. I can't do math right now, so you'll have to forgive me. Anyways, you look ahead, which we're going to talk about the Panthers' schedule here in just a second, but you look ahead to Tampa Bay's schedule. The Patriots this week, now that is at home, so New England traveling to Tampa Bay, at Buffalo, and then at the Rams. There is a pretty good chance, if you look at that for Tampa Bay, that they could drop hopefully 2 out of 3. At least that's what we would hope. If Tampa can drop 2 out of 3 and the Panthers can continue their win streak, folks, we could be talking about them in a few weeks at the top of the NFC South. But it's a little bit early for us to get out there just yet. Now, the downside, folks, is Tampa Bay's schedule gets much easier, unfortunately. As the team that finished number 1, it's wild that this is their schedule. I mean, they still had some tough games. They're just a good football team, and it is what it is. But their schedule gets a lot easier, which we'll look at here in just a second. So let's go ahead, and I actually forgot. See, actually, I don't have it on this one, so I'll talk about that one in just a second. We will look ahead to the Saints, but I don't care about the Saints in the moment. So after the Rams, they have the Cardinals. Not concerned with the Cardinals if I'm a Tampa Bay fan. The Saints, the Falcons, of course, the Panthers twice, and then the Dolphins. So honestly, we need them to drop 1 or 2. Honestly, 2 to 3 would be good. Gives the Panthers some wiggle room and really the possibility to have some division games that matter for who's going to win once we get into late December. So anyways, jumping ahead, let's go ahead and look at, and we're at the point too, and I'll make this a little bit bigger here. We're at the point where we're able to put the remaining schedule on the screen. Kind of sad in a way. Season is flying by. So after this week, as we talked about, take on the Falcons at Atlanta, travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers for Monday Night Football. Then follow that up with the Los Angeles Rams at home. So get through those 4 games. The Panthers finally will get a bye. And really, I saw someone else as I was talking about this earlier in the week. You know, in a way, it's kind of a good thing. If things go the way that they should, you would be getting a bye late in the season to prep for a potential playoff push, which, I mean, I think all of us would take. After the bye, though, you have game against New Orleans, at New Orleans. Then you start your Tampa Bay battle at home, December 21st. Seahawks at home on the 28th, and then final game of the season at Tampa Bay. For the New Orleans Saints, who are just kind of chugging along here, they take on the Panthers this week. Then they have, I believe, if that's correct, yeah, they have their bye. Then they'll come out of that taking on the Falcons at home. Dolphins on the road. Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road. We looked at the Saints and the Panthers. They'll be at home on December 14th. Hey, there you go. Get the Jets. Potential win for them there. And the Titans for the New Orleans Saints. So good for them. And then lastly, closing it out against the Atlanta Falcons. Good stuff. All right, we're going to move ahead. Now I'm going to switch back here. And we're going to jump into our NFL Pro preview like we always do here. And then we'll go into team rank. We actually cover a lot of stuff here as we start pulling up some of our resources. So let's jump right into this. Make it a little bit. That didn't work the way we wanted to. So Carolina Panthers, 5.5-point favorites. If you are into that, over under at 39.5. We'll talk a little bit about their team stats in a minute, but putting up 18.9 points per game for the Panthers offense, not great. Sitting at 27th. Saints offense, though, really bad. Second to last worst offense in the NFL at 15.3 points per game. Point differential of 105, negative 105 for the Saints, negative 35 for the Panthers. Strengths 22nd. Record in close games. That's a big reason why the Panthers have been able to go on this win streak 4-1. Average margin of victory, 9.2 points for the Panthers. Saints only have 1. Both teams have a negative 4 point differential. Heavily penalized team in the New Orleans Saints with 68 penalties on the year. That's 27th in the NFL. Carolina Panthers, 51 penalties, which ranks 7th. We'll move to the insights now, as we like to do. So Tyler Shuck, the Saints have not had a rookie starting quarterback win a game since week 10 of 1981. Well, hopefully it doesn't happen this week when David Wilson defeated the Rams 21-13. That is the longest active drought in the NFL by 6 seasons, and rookie Tyler Shuck has a chance to break it in his second career start. Well, I hope you don't break it, man. Sorry. Go beat someone else, not us. Rico Dowdle has averaged 173 rushing yards per game, 204.7 scrimmage yards per game. And they got a typo here. As a starter in 2025. Those are both the most in a season by any player to make at least 3 starts in a season since the 1970 merger. When you see that type of production, and if I am Dan Morgan, I'm having the conversation, which I hope he is. It would be, you don't let players like this that are that good, and I understand the running back position is a commodity where you can ship it out, and I know you already paid Chuba Hubbard, but when you have a guy that is producing at this level that fits your scheme perfectly and playing at this high of a level, I at least have the conversation with his agent and say, hey, can we buy you a little bit cheaper? Because we believed in you. We brought you in here for that 1-year contract. I know it's a prove-it year. I know you want to go feed your family, probably get 10, 11, 12, whatever it is, but at least have a conversation with us. I don't know, but you at least have to think about it. More Tyler Shuck versus the Panthers defense. So Tyler Shuck has completed just 27 of 46 passes for 252 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions against zone coverage this season. His 63.0 passer rating and 58.7 completion percentage against zone are both lower marks than any qualified quarterback. So he's not good against the zone. Panthers defense has deployed zone on 84.8%, almost 85% of dropbacks. We are in zone coverage. That's the highest rate in the NFL. And we have allowed a 42.6% success rate, which is the 10th lowest on dropbacks. So that's zone coverage that Ejiro Evero loves to run coming to life. This is the Rico story this week with NFL Insights. Rico Dowdle has rushed for at least 100 yards in 3 of his last 5 games, the most such performances by any player since week 5. We know about that from weeks 1 through 4. This is where I've continued to say it. Nobody saw it coming. Nobody. Because from weeks 1 through 4, there was no running game between him and Hubbard. But Dowdle averaged just 20.8 rushing yards per game. Since then, has averaged 130.4, highest mark in the NFL. The Saints defense is allowing 129 rushing yards per game, which ranks 24th. So good opportunity for him to be able to keep that rolling. Tyler Shuck. So you're looking at the Saints offense has used a no huddle on 23.5% of their snaps this season. That's the second highest rate in the NFL. However, they have averaged just 5 yards per no huddle play, below the league average of 5.5. In no huddle situations, Shuck has completed 17 of 15 passes for 66 yards and an interception. Some Bryce Young versus New Orleans Saints defense. Bryce Young has completed 40 of 70 passes for 374 yards against cover 3. This season, throwing just 1 of his 11 total touchdowns and 3 of his 6 interceptions. His 58.9 passer rating and 39.3% drop back success rate against cover 3, both rank 3rd lowest among qualified quarterbacks. The Saints have relied heavily on cover 3. They use it at a league high, 47.8%. So Bryce Young versus cover 3, Tyler Shuck versus our defense. Who's going to win the battle? Hopefully it's us. Should. Especially when you feature Rico. And Rico Dowdle has produced plus 172 rushing yards over expected, 172 rushing yards over expected, the 3rd most in the NFL. He's been especially effective on runs outside the tackles, leading all rushers with 144 yards over expected, averaging a league best 7.1 yards per carry and a 56% success rate on such attempts. If I am Rico Dowdle, I'm taking every one of these off. I'm printing it. I'm walking into Dan Morgan's office, giving it to my agent and figuring out how much do you want to pay me. I know Panthers probably can't pay him, but we can all dream. We can dream. Looking at some of the key matchup comparisons, passing efficiency for the Saints offense against our defense favors the Panthers. Rushing efficiency from the Saints offense, which is number 31, versus our defense, which is 14th. Good to see that. Favors Carolina. Pressure rate is still bad. I posted a TikTok reading off the ESPN analytics, and they're like, oh, we still won. I was like, yes, Panthers are still finding ways to win. They are getting a sack or 2 along the way, but the pressure is still not there. Like, we just have to find that. And I don't know that you're going to unlock it this season. I think it's going to have to come in the offseason. You're going to have to keep adding in some additions, but at least now we'll keep feeding Scorton and hope that he grows and becomes the pass rusher that we need. Helps that you have Turk back, Derek Brown dominating as well, but looking for that true pass rush. So have that. Passing efficiency for the Panthers against the Saints defense, there's not really an advantage they list. And then rushing efficiency, their defense isn't terrible there. Slightly favors the Panthers, and then pressure rate, they're about even. They don't get a lot of pressure either, so not bad. Rushing from shotgun, we have the number 2 defense at stopping the run when a team's in shotgun, the number 4 defense in passing versus play action, number 9 in rushing against a light box, number 18 in passing versus no pressure, and then number 14 against the long passing game. They've got a pretty good defense when it comes to stopping the run out of shotgun as well. Number 3, rushing under center, heavily favors the Panthers, who are number 4, going up against the number 26 team rank in New Orleans. Deep passing, that's one of the things that we just have not been able to execute well. They're really good decent on the defensive side of the ball, rushing against a light box and then passing under pressure. We're not going to go through too many more of those. We already went through the matchup insights, so we got you covered there. Your player projections, Tyler Shuck with 199 yards, about a touchdown and an interception. Alvin Kamara, 56 yards. Chris Olave, 72. Devon Bailey, 31. Jawan Johnson with 44. And on the side of the Carolina Panthers, I'd be surprised. I was going to say, I'd be surprised if it's over 200 passing for Young. I feel like they missed this quite a bit when they try to project his stats through here. But 203, about a touchdown and an interception. Rico with 81. That number's bumped up. They were keeping that kind of low. Got him going back up. T-Mac, 4 for 60. How about Jalen Coker? Which we're going to talk about the roster in a little bit. But Jalen Coker, hopefully starting to find his rhythm. 2.6, let's say 3 for 36. JT Sanders, estimated to about 3 for 25. And let's take a look at the injury report this week for let's start with the Saints. So they have a few guys, 2 guys, Fuego the tackle and Davon Galchuk's, y'all got to forgive me there. Actually looks like he was not injury related. They were just resting him. So really the only non-participant is Fuego the tackle. The other guys they have here, Brian Bryce, Alvin Kamara, Jack Stahl, all limited. And then for the side of the Panthers, Bryson Tremaine did not participate today, nor did Chandler Zavala. Derek Brown was limited, specified with an elbow. Rico Dowdle with the quad was limited as well. Good news is Damian Lewis, Cade Mays, excuse me, Lathan Ransom, Ransom was battling an illness, but Princely Umanmielen back. Austin Corbett moving over to right guard. Your team leaders, we talked about Spencer Rattler getting bumped to the back. Not a lot to talk about. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of Taysom Hill just naturally. Feels like the Saints always find a way to utilize him. It's one of the gadget things that just drives me crazy, but we'll see how that goes. For Carolina, Bryce Young, 149 for 244 on the season. That's 61.1% completion percentage. Not good. Not good, man. I want Bryce Young to have that. If you're going to be a game manager, I need you to knock down some of these passes and get you in the 66 to 68% range. 1,390 yards, 11 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, 81.5 passer rating, 5.7 yards per attempt. We talked through rushing, but so you can see it. Alvin Kamara, 377 yards and a touchdown on the season, only averaging 3.6 yards. Kendre Miller, 193. 1 touchdown and 4.1 per carry. Rico, 735, 4 touchdowns. Chuba Hubbard, 299, 1 touchdown. And ETN bringing it up the rear there. Receiving, good year for Chris Olave. Of course, they traded away Rashid Shaheed, so sorry, see ya. That's a plus. We know we'll have to see him later in the season. On the Panthers side, man, I mean, it's kind of multi-part. The fact that you're not throwing the ball a lot and you're producing a lot of receiving, you're not going to have a lot of guys stacking up numbers. Tedero McMillan, the most reliable, 41 for 558, 2 touchdowns. XL right behind him with 181, and then Rico with 132 on the season. You'd love to see a little more production there. I'd like to see those numbers get up for XL and Coker. We've talked about this, but it also feels like this is possibly the potential end for Hunter Renfrow. All right, let's move through, and I got to look in my notes to make sure I cover what I need to cover. We got the injury report. We looked at the NFL Pro preview. We're going to look at the team rankings very briefly. Then we'll jump into the depth chart here and see if we can close this thing out today. So kind of talk through a few of these already. New Orleans Saints offense versus the Carolina Panthers defense. We talked about the points per game. They are putting up 287 yards on offense, which is 29th. The Panthers are allowing 316th. That's 13th in the NFL. Third down conversions, they're about 38%, 37, 38%. 20th in the NFL. We're giving up about 43%, almost 44%, which is 28. So near the bottom of the NFL. For the Panthers, they are a league worst on 4th down, only converting 29%. And then red zone scoring percentage of touchdowns once they get into the red zone. Right now, New Orleans Saints offense, about 42% of the time. That's 31st in the NFL. And that Carolina Panthers defense, it helps when you have a team and the Green Bay Packers that get to the red zone and don't put up points. So now Panthers defense only allowing a touchdown at a rate of 51%, about 52% to be exact. That's 6th in the NFL. That'll help you. Looking at the Panthers offense, you've had some ugly wins. We know the offense can produce. Like we had a shootout with Dallas to a certain extent. We've been able to put up points, but you look at the sluggish fest against the Jets. You look at what we just had a list past week. Honestly, as long as they win, you have a strong running game and a good defense, and you play keep away and you don't make too many mistakes, going to be in a lot of football games. Only putting up 18.9 points per game, 27th in the NFL. Saints are allowing 27 points. We're putting up 310 yards on offense, which is 22nd. They're giving up 333. That's 18th in the NFL. We're only averaging 4.9 yards per play. You don't have a lot of explosive plays for the Panthers, most of it through the run game. Right now, you'd love to see Bryce Young and T-Mac be able to connect on some of these throws downfield. Third down conversion rate, we're actually tied with New Orleans at 37.5%, ranks 20th. Fourth down conversion, man, we're humming along there at 71%. That's 7th in the NFL. Positive there. And red zone scoring percentage for touchdowns, almost 60%, which ranks 14th in the NFL. High level, looking at the rushing attack, we're putting up almost 140 yards per game. That's 5th in the NFL. Like we said, Saints giving up 129, ranked 24th. On their side, they're only rushing for almost 90, 27th in the NFL, and we're allowing 110, which ranks 18th. Passing yards per game, averaging about 197 on their side, which is 22nd. We're allowing 205, 15th in the NFL. We are only putting up 170 yards per game, 170. 30th in the NFL. They are allowing 203, which ranks 14th. Good stuff there. All right, let's see what else we got brewing here. I believe we're going to jump into the depth chart, and then we'll give our final predictions. We're almost there. And then I'm going to jump into the chat too, just for folks that are using the chat, which I appreciate. Trying to keep this formalized for all the fun folks that come back and listen to this on Apple and Spotify after the fact. So trying to keep it normal for me is what they come to expect as we go through this. Let's try. I don't know what I just did here. We're going to try to get the Panthers and get everything pulled up here, possibly. So we like to shake out. We know the Carolina Panthers, at least this season, have tended to transact on. Sorry guys, this I can't see it, but went the wrong way on my side. Carolina Panthers like to transact on Tuesdays. That's where we've seen a lot of their action. So we like to check in there just to see what's going on. Which we reported on that earlier this week, but never hurts to jump back in. And actually, it's weird this week. So I'll share this very quickly. Usually you see all the transactions listed on here. I mean, you do. For whatever reason, the transactions from November 4th are not listed here, and they always include practice squad acquisitions or additions or removals, but for whatever reason, not pulling those through, which is fine. We still have it. We still have the article, so we can read through the article very quickly for those that missed it earlier this week. So, team signed running back DJ Dallas, Israel Mukamua, and guard Jatir Carter. We know DJ Dallas, Jatir Carter, been here. Israel spent some time as well with the Panthers practice squad. To make room for that, unfortunately, my Hendon Hooker fans off the hook here. He is no longer here for now. Michael Tarkin and linebacker, outside linebacker, Carlos Boogie Basham, who actually saw pretty good amount of playing time, not a ton, but was caught up a few times to the active roster for the Carolina Panthers. Let's take a look. And there's honestly not that much to talk about, in my opinion, with the Panthers depth chart where it is today. Tetero McMillan, Jalen Coker, Ike Ekwonu, Damian Lewis. And yeah, we gave Ike our hats and kudos on Sunday, but still good to shout him out for that performance. Damian Lewis, Cade Mays, like we said, Austin Corbett moving into that starting guard position, right guard, Taylor Moton, JT, and Tommy Trimble. We know we get a good dose of Mitchell Evans as well. XL, Jimmy Horn Jr., Bryce Young, Rico as the official RB1. Mike White's still on here. They have not removed DJ Dallas. I didn't mean to click on that, man. It's going to take me to the page. On the defensive side of the ball, Turk Wharton, Ashawn Robinson, Derek Brown, Nick Scorton, Trevin Wallace. Hat tip to Trevin Wallace and Christian Roseboom, because I doubted those guys too. I like what we're seeing up to this point. DJ Wonnum, Mike Jackson, JC Horn, Trayvon Merrick, and Nick Scott rounds out the defense. We know about special teams. ETN is your primary returner, kicks and punts. JJ Jansen, the man. Sam Martin, punter. Ryan Fitzgerald, your kicker. Switching over to the New Orleans Saints roster now. Actually, we can do one thing before we get into it. There you go. They've got theirs. I'll check this out. Check this out. And I've reported it way back when. I don't know if you guys paid attention to it, but I did report back a few weeks ago when Iku Leota, how many people remember him here in Carolina? So he is on the New Orleans Saints roster. He signed to the practice squad a few weeks ago. I remember tweeting it out. I don't know when it was, when he officially signed, but maybe you were paying attention. Maybe you weren't, which is fine. I don't expect you to care what I post. Anyways, so wide receiver return Rashid Shaheed traded in exchange for a 4th and 5th rounder. Trevor Penning got traded to the Chargers for a 2027 draft pick. Doesn't say, at least on here. Iku Leota, standard elevation. I feel like he's got 2 elevations there. He's got 3, so odds are they're going to have to sign him to the active roster. You can only call him up so many times before you have to sign him, so we'll see how that pans out. But let's switch back over to what we're going to be potentially looking at on Sunday, and I'm going to actually look at one thing. The only reason I like, if I can find it, I am going to try to do this. I like ESPN for the depth chart of let's just try this. We'll get there. Of the opposing team, primarily because I am not in the weeds with the opposing team, which you guys know. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping myself honest before I look at what they pose and don't know what's tied to what. So let's look at it this way. That way we can get the injury designations on here. So Tyler Shuck, Alvin Kamara, who's questionable, Chris Olave, Brandon Cooks, Davon Bailey, Juwan Johnson, Kelvin Banks Jr., Torres Selly Simpkins III, South Carolina Gamecocks. I'm 99% sure. I'm shot in the water here. He was a Gamecock. Yes, maybe. Yes, he was. I got that right, so I'm not too crazy. Luke Fortner, the center. Cesar Ruiz, right guard. And we talked about Fuega. They have him listed as doubtful. We know he's on the injury report. Anyways, Cameron Jordan, how about that? Last year we pissed him off so bad after they lost to us that he just didn't know what to do. I hope it happens again. Nose tackle, Galchuk's guys, probably not pronouncing that right, so give me some slack. Brian Brees, Carl Granderson, DeMario Davis, who's having a really good season, even at his age, just balling out. Pete Warner, Chase Young, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Justin Reed, Jonas Sanker, Alante Taylor, Isaac Yadman. So, yeah, Demario Davis, I don't know where I saw him. Yeah, 84 tackles on the season. I knew he'd be doing pretty well. 84 tackles on the year. Projected, I didn't know they started throwing in projections on here. Projected to have 159. It's wild. This is what I get for not using ESPN that much. But I wonder, now that just makes me interested because I'm here. So why not see if we can go back here? I'll try to hop over. See, we're working through navigation over here. First time on a computer, believe it or not. We're going to see if we can pull in. I just wonder if it's going to give us his projections. Yeah, it does. Look at that. Pretty fancy. You learn something new every day. So you know what? Hat tip to ESPN. Pretty cool. So they do throw in the projected stat lines for the season. So right now, projected Tedero McMillan, 1,054 yards, 4 touchdowns. Hopefully he has a few more touchdowns. That's pretty cool, though. I want to see if we can hop over. We'll hop over to running backs. I want to see what Rico's. Yeah, Rico projected to have 1,388 yards, which would probably be top 5 in the NFL. All right, folks, let's get back into prediction or get into our prediction, and then I'll catch up in the chat with you guys that are still here, which I appreciate. Hopefully, I'll be able to catch up in the chat. We'll see how this goes. All right, let's go back. Add to the stage. We got our preview. We've got our rankings. We have our injury report. We have our depth chart. And can I take a moment to say I cannot wait for the ESPN 30 for 30 on ESPN Bet. What an absolute failure. Which I don't bet on sports, but my gosh. I think it just goes to show, you can't just slap your brand on top of something and expect it to take off. ESPN Bet going away, complete and utter trash. Meanwhile, we have all these folks on Stephen A. Smith and whoever else out there, man, I can't even keep up with all of them promoting that weird solitaire crap. It's wild times, man. It's wild. But let's get into it. Right now, Carolina Panthers 66.1% chance projected via ESPN Analytics gives the Saints a 33.7% chance. We talked about the spreads where those things sit. And drum roll, please. No, it's not going to be a big surprise to you guys that I am taking the Carolina Panthers this week 31-18 for my final score. So appreciate you guys. If you want to drop your predictions in the chat, I will actually get to those as I now sweep back through into the chat. So anyways, hey, it's been fun, y'all. It has been fun. So let's go ahead and let's jump into a few of our comments from way back in the beginning. So Underground West says, this isn't a trap game because we are the trap game. I love it. Rory's buying in, saying 10-7 for the Carolina Panthers is possible. I like it. Really good production out of the rookie class that we were talking about earlier. T-Mac is visible. Horn, Junior, Scorton. Yep. All good. Love a good old Bill shout out there. Let's actually move this. There we go. Let's do it that way. That's even easier. Chapel Bill, man. Yeah, hopefully he's going to find another win this weekend against Stanford. Pull one out there. Gamecocks, though, and Shula and everything. We're going to the game against Coastal Carolina. So South Carolina versus Coastal Carolina. Hopefully we don't have to worry about that one. Gamecocks can pull that one out. Oh, man. Yeah, Roy wants to hold Bill Belichick to the South Carolina NC standard his first year. Yes, got to handle business against the Saints this week, says Underground West. Roy says, we've been blown out in New Orleans. Glad we're at home. They are capable. What's good, Panthers Prime Podcast, man? Appreciate you stopping by. Folks, if you are looking for some Carolina Panthers content, man, They got it going on. And Panthers Prime, dude, y'all stay busy. Y'all produce. I like to just listen in sometimes. I don't jump into the chat always, but always fun to listen out. There's a lot of good Panthers folks out there for you guys. No excuses. No excuses this week. Love it. Oh, man, there we go. Yeah, good math helping me out earlier as we were trying to decipher how far back. Game and a half back behind Tampa. So Panthers Prime coming in the clutch with me, unable to do math at the moment. Yeah, talking about Bryce Young earlier, Underground West says, I don't care about stats, but I would like to see Bryce have a great game this week. No turnovers. Yes, no turnovers. You think about the fumble that could have been a problem last week that fortunately we had Chuba Hubbard right there to make a play. So I agree with you. I'd like to see him. Hopefully the wind isn't a factor. We can see him sling it around a few times, have an opportunity, lean into the run game, get the dub. And Panthers Prime says 8 wins is a possibility. I do think 8 is on the table. No doubt about it. And all together, Rock says this is feeling a lot better than last year, and I agree with that. It does feel better to be at 5. I would have taken 5 and 4 through 9 before the season started. I hope we can kind of keep building on it as we get through there. And the schedule is set up to help us against the Bucs, definitely. Yeah, somebody said, Rory said, somebody in the NFL anticipated the Bucs versus the Panthers, right? And good for a playoff run, right? It's been a long time since we have won as a favorite. That is true, man. Last year the Cowboys? The Panthers were favored. They lost. Really before that, when else would the Panthers be favored in a football game? And Underground West says Rico is going to get a bag either with us or someone else. I agree. I would love for the Panthers to be able to afford him. I just don't know that they will. And it's true, Rock. Rock Jones says, I don't know if he gets a bag. He is in his 6th year. That's right. I mean, he is getting a little bit older. Gamecock as well, man. This team is full of South Carolina Gamecocks producing. After his performance, he's going to get it. You feel like there's going to be a team that's desperate enough to go out and give him a 10 to 12, which he's earned it if he gets it. What's good, y'all? Trizzy 2009. Hey, man, we'll have this coming back for we just went through the preview for the Saints, so I usually do this offline. We decided to do it live tonight just to save me some time to get this out on our podcast platform. So Dom34 says we need quarterback depth. Andy and Mike are not good backups. I agree with that. Lots of questions. Like, regardless of where you sit in the Bryce Young spectrum, I think Andy's still under contract for next year, but I think the Panthers have to make a decision to bring in something a little bit more. Saw it maybe with Hendon Hooker. I joke, man. I mean, I'm not saying Justin Fields for a viable competition, but Justin Fields, if he wants to come and sit, I don't know that he does. Even I don't know how close Canales is with Russell Wilson. I don't think that would happen, but you never know with these things in the NFL. But oh man. Anyways, folks, that is going to do it for today. Final prediction again, Carolina Panthers 31. I wanted to make it bigger. I originally made it bigger, and then the 5.5 point spread made me shrink it. But we'll take the Panthers winning this week. We will be back live Sunday night following Panthers game like we always do as we continue through the season. Appreciate you guys, as always, tuning in. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.